Today I'll be taking you behind the scenes on how I transform a couple's wedding day into a cinematic film.
The idea of growing old can be terrifying, but the idea of growing old with you, my best friend, is something to truly look forward to.
Okay, so we're here at Mount French Lodge for the wedding. Pretty hot day. We got an outdoor ceremony, so it's gonna be a bit tricky, but we are just going to go see the bride and groom getting ready, and then it'll be time for the ceremony, which is the most important part of the day. We've just gotten all prepped up and set up. This is the 6K on the gimbal. We've just got the 4K at the moment filming me. But yeah, we'll take you along to the day, show you some tips and tricks, and let's get it. I start by meeting with the bride and groom during their preparations, capturing any details like the dress, flowers, and surrounding elements that help build the atmosphere. Once the bride is dressed, I focus on more candid moments with friends and family, capturing any subtle emotions and the support she has around her. Before I head over to film the groom, I always remind the bridesmaids to take their time when they're walking down the aisle and remember to smile. A lot of the time, bridesmaids can, get a bit nervous and rush their way down the aisle, forget to smile, and it just doesn't look as great on video. So I always let them know and remind them of that. For the groom, I make sure it's super relaxed, really comfortable, capturing genuine moments with the groomsmen that he has chosen for his day. I make sure to leave at least 15 minutes before ceremony starts to set up. That includes my secondary camera on the tripod, capturing the whole ceremony, and setting up audio. Audio is, in my opinion, the most stressful part of the whole day, because if you don't get this right, if the audio is messed up, then you really have unusable footage. I use the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics, one plugged directly into the receiver or the celebrant's speaker, and one slipped on to the celebrant's mic itself. If you're filming any ceremonies outside, it's a very good idea to get an ND filter. This will get rid of any harsh highlights or whites that appear during sunny days. I then use any spare time that I have after setting up just to capture venue and ceremony details. The ceremony is the heart of the wedding day. I begin with the processional, capturing the flower girl, bridesmaids, and eventually the bride's entrance, which is often one of the most powerful moments of the wedding day. I always make sure to get the groom's reaction at the very start, as soon as he sees his bride, and then quickly race over to the bride and make sure I capture her full walk down the aisle, the father exchange, and then eventually meeting her groom at the end. For this particular video edit, I decided to let the majority of her walk play out, just because I felt like this really emphasized the moment and enhanced the atmosphere that was felt on the day.
1,000 thrills, 1,000 chills, smoky eyes, pearly white, I'm high. It's a golden thing she's got. I sing softly to her in the last daylight, and the chorus of birds in the heights of night. And if we could be heard for whatever it's worth.
During the celebrant's formalities and when she's telling the couple's story, I make sure I capture any important moments. This includes the couple, guests, parents, bridal party, and celebrant. I do this all before the vows, ring exchange, signing, kiss, and confetti toss, which don't leave too much time in between them. Also, with a second shooter, I'm able to get really creative shots, including this one. And afterward, I make sure to linger around and capture any of the celebrations, the congratulations, hugs, things like that. Transitioning into group photos, I use this time to set up for speeches just so I have that peace of mind that I know that it's all ready to go, and then move on to capturing any drone shots of the venue and the landscape. For this particular wedding, the speeches were straight after the group photos, so I definitely had to make sure that everything was set up. I keep my second camera on the tripod, capturing the whole duration of the speeches, And then with my main camera, I go around capturing any of the reactions from the guests, but mainly the bride and groom. I also make sure to capture the cheers that happen after the guest speeches, just because I think this is a really nice way to wrap up the compilation of speeches during the final edit. Now to the portrait session. This is a period of time where we really have free rein to do whatever we want, break some creative barriers, and just do something different. It starts with a bridal party, which is often more structured just because it's a large group. But when we move on to the bride and groom themselves, this is when the creativity comes alive. I make sure I really nail some great shots here, shots that are visually stunning as well as moving. In my head, I'm also accounting for the video edit later on. So for example, if I'm doing a rolling shot with my gimbal, I make sure to roll in the same direction in another shot. This just helps to create seamless transitions and consistency in the edit. The key to portrait sessions is just to direct with minimal interference. You want to have that natural, candid flow, but still give some subtle guidance to poses or movements. For example, you can suggest natural motions like walking, gazing at each other, embracing, or dancing. Now that I've mentioned dancing, this moves on to the first dance. I really like to keep this pretty simple. I capture a wide, sweeping, rotating shot of the dance, kind of rotating around the outside of the bride and groom, especially with guests watching. This helps to bring all the guests into the moment and make it feel really cinematic. And then I make sure to get some close-ups in between here and there. As the evening progresses, the dance floor begins to open up, and this is where I use less of the gimbal and go for a more of a handheld feel just to be more immersive and fit with the upbeat nature of the environment. A cool tip is that if DJs are using lights, I tend to shoot into the light and then have the guests in the foreground. It creates a really cool effect. And sometimes if the photographer's using a flash on the dance floor, I use that as a transition in the video edit. I hope this gave you insight into how I bring together every little detail to create a cinematic wedding film. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe, drop any questions or topics you'd like to see in my future videos, and I'll see you in the next video.